Just when fans thought things couldn't get any messier between the ex-couple, shocking new evidence has surfaced, revealing that Bambi might have found love again. The real twist is that her new man isn't just any random guy. Sources claim he's someone who will leave Scrappy completely shattered. The latest bombshell has everyone talking on the internet, and Scrappy is devastated. The tension is at an all-time high as whispers spread. Insiders say that Scrappy, who had been trying to reconcile after their breakup, didn't see this coming and is having a hard time processing the betrayal. Could this be the ultimate revenge move by Bambi, or is there something much deeper going on behind the scenes? Secret rendezvous, cryptic social media posts, and late-night meetings begin to circulate. Fans are piecing together the clues, and the picture they're getting is beyond explosive. The internet is divided. Who is this mystery man? How did Scrappy find out? And most importantly, how will he react? Stay tuned because we're going to reveal everything about the drama, the heartbreak, and the unexpected turn that nobody saw coming. The internet was ablaze with theories and speculation about why wild accusations had been circulating for weeks. But until now, no one had hard evidence. It all began with a single grainy photo. When a clearer version emerged, fans went crazy over Bambi's outfit as she stepped out of a sleek black SUV in front of a fancy restaurant in Atlanta. However, it wasn't her attire that got people talking. Rather, it was the tall, broad-shouldered man next to her, who was dressed sharply and exuded confidence. The way he looked at Bambi was the real story. And within minutes, blogs, gossip sites, and celebrity insiders were dissecting every detail to determine who he was. As more information became available, it became evident that this wasn't just any man. This was someone from Scrappy's circle, someone he knew personally. At first, many people wrote it off as just another unfounded rumor because Bambi and Scrappy had only recently broken up. And although their relationship had been tense, she hadn't been publicly linked to anyone. Scrappy was unaware of what was going on until his phone began exploding with messages from friends, fans, and even people he barely knew. They had been sending him the same thing for months, a screenshot of Bambi and her mystery man. At first, he ignored it because he had seen enough rumors about himself and his ex to know that the internet loved making things dramatic. However, as the notifications continued to come in, his curiosity overcame him. He clicked on one of the links, and when he saw the photo, his stomach dropped. It was him. Scrappy's hands clenched into fists as he stared at the screen. When he scrolled through the comments, he searched for some sort of rational explanation, but instead, he found chaos. Wow, Bambi wasted no time moving on. Damn, Scrappy must be hurting right now. Wait, isn't that one of Scrappy's homeboys? That last comment made his heart stop. There was no way. He zoomed in on the photo and studied the man's face. He had to hear this from Bambi herself. Without hesitation, he called. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times, no answer. He gritted his teeth and tightened his jaw. He wasn't going to let this go if Bambi thought she could just ignore it. Then, as if someone had flipped a switch, memories came flooding back. This wasn't just some random dude. This was someone who had been around them before. Someone who had been at their house, someone Scrappy had once trusted. Scrappy wasn't the type to divulge personal information, but at that moment, he didn't care. If Bambi didn't answer, he was going to find out the truth another way. His phone suddenly lit up with another notification, a text from a close friend. "You're not going to like this, bro. Call me ASAP." Scrappy tried calling again, but it went straight to voicemail. He dialed the number right away, and his friend answered. "You see the pictures?" Scrappy exhaled sharply. Then, in a low, cautious voice, his friend said, "It's who you think it is." A twist formed in Scrappy's stomach. He knew the answer before the words were spoken. He whispered, "You gotta be kidding me," while running a hand over his face. "Listen, this isn't even new. People have been discussing this for a while." For a moment, Scrappy's thoughts went blank. Had he really been that blind? He shook his head. No, he wasn't about to make snap judgments just yet. "Where are you right now?" Scrappy asked in a tight voice. I'm out. But if you try to pull up, I've got some more to tell you. Scrappy immediately grabbed his keys. I'm on my way, he muttered. As he stormed out of his house, a thought crossed his mind. If this is true, Bambi has some explaining to do. The betrayal felt personal. As he pulled up to a familiar spot, a small lounge where his close friend was waiting, Scrappy stepped inside and immediately spotted him at the door. His grip on the steering wheel had been so tight that his knuckles turned white. His mind was racing, his emotions swinging between shock, anger, and disbelief. How had he not seen this coming? How long had Bambi been playing him for a fool? Scrappy, looking uneasy at a corner table, quickly slid into the seat across from his friend and leaned forward to talk while looking around to make sure no one else was listening. Then he dropped the bombshell, bro. They had been playing around before y'all broke up. For a moment, Scrappy just stared, his jaw clenched, and his breathing got heavier. His friend nodded grimly. I didn't want to say anything before because, it wasn't my business. But after seeing those photos, man, I knew you had to know the truth. Scrappy ran a hand over his face, his chest feeling tight, as if someone had just taken the wind out of him. You sure about this? His friend took out his phone and looked through his messages. Look at this. Scrappy read the text, his heart racing with every word. Some of the messages were from mutual acquaintances, some dating back months. They talked about Bambi getting cozy with this guy at private events, sneaking around, and meeting up. Scrappy felt sick in places he never would have anticipated. I knew she was acting strangely toward the end, but I assumed she was simply exhausted from all the fights. He cut himself off, slamming the phone down on the table. His friend exhaled. Look, man, I hate to be the one telling you all this, but you needed to hear it. And that's not even the worst part. Scrappy's head snapped up. What do you mean, bro? A slow-burning rage crept up Scrappy's spine as he gritted his teeth. His entire body tensed at the thought of some guys casually talking about taking his woman. No, his wife, as if it were some sort of joke. Scrappy's face went blank as his friend continued. The dude has been running his mouth. Scrappy's jaw clenched, and his entire body tensed at the thought of the man bragging about it. Like Scrappy was just some idiot who didn't see it coming. That wasn't going to fly. I need to see him, Scrappy muttered to his friend. You sure that's a good idea, man? Scrappy interrupted. I need to see him, he repeated. I'm not asking for advice. He checked his phone and saw that the guy was downtown right now. His friend looked him in the eye. Don't do anything crazy. Scrappy was already standing up, grabbing his keys. Scrappy pulled up outside a lounge where the so-called new man was supposed to be. He didn't hesitate to enter, scanning the crowd until his eyes locked on him. There he was, sitting at a table, laughing, looking smug as hell. Scrappy's blood boiled. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to keep his composure. Downtown Atlanta was bustling with music, traffic, and the constant buzz of nightlife. The conversation slowed down instantly, and the man's eyes darted toward him. For a moment, Scrappy noticed a flash of surprise on his face, but then he smirked. Bad move, Scrap? The man leaned back in his chair as if he was comfortable and didn't expect to see him here. Scrappy pulled up a chair directly across from him, his face unreadable, but his eyes were icy cold. You know why I'm here? The man laughed, shaking his head. Come on, man, are we really doing this? Scrappy clenched his jaw and asked in a casual, almost amused tone, What's it like? The man exhaled and shook his head. Look, man, I ain't going back and forth over no woman. She made her choice, you made yours. It is what it is. Scrappy didn't blink. The tension in the room was thick, and everyone felt the weight of what was happening. You're mad about Bambi, bro? The room was silent, and everyone was watching to see what would happen next. Scrappy leaned forward, lowering his voice so only the man could hear. You think this is funny? The man smirked. I think you're taking this way too seriously, but you'll figure it out eventually. Scrappy studied him, his jaw tightening, the arrogance, the lack of remorse, the fact that this dude wasn't even sorry. That's when Scrappy realized something. Scrappy's eyes darkened, And then a moment later, his fist struck the table so forcefully that glasses rattled, drinks spilled, and people gasped. The man flinched and his smirk vanished. But the message was clear. "You better watch yourself," Scrappy said, his voice dangerously low. "Because I promise you, this isn't over." Scrappy then got up and left. But as he stepped into the night, one thing was certain. This was only the beginning. He wanted to turn around and settle this right then and there, but something told him that wasn't the right move yet. He needed a plan. As soon as he got into this car, his phone started buzzing. He didn't even need to check. The word had already spread. The streets talk fast. By the time he got halfway down the block, he received the text that confirmed what he already knew. Bambi knew. She had heard everything. Scrappy stormed out of the lounge, his mind in chaos, his pulse pounding, his jaw clenched tightly. He let out a sharp exhale and gripped the steering wheel, knowing exactly what was going to happen next. His phone rang, just like clockwork. Bambi. He thought about ignoring it, letting her sweat, wondering if he was going to pull up and really set things off. But instead, he wanted to hear what she had to say. He swiped to answer. "What, Scrap? What the hell are you doing?" Bambi's voice was sharp and angry. Scrappy laughed without humor. "You just ran up on him in the lounge," she snapped. What was that supposed to prove? Scrappy shook his head, biting back what he wanted to say. Instead, he kept his voice calm and controlled. "It proves that I'm not the one to play with, Bambi." She scoffed. "Grow up. You're out here looking stupid." "Oh, I'm looking stupid?" Scrappy cut her off. "Begging you while you've been sneaking behind my back for months?" Bambi was silent. She couldn't deny it. "Yeah," Scrappy muttered. "That's what I thought." Bambi exhaled heavily. Scrappy clenched his fist. "So when was it supposed to happen, Bambi? When were you going to tell me? After the wedding invitations were sent out? After I put another ring on your finger?" "That's not fair," she whispered. Scrappy laughed coldly. "Fair? Let's talk about fair then. Let's talk about how you tricked me, smiling in my face, making me think we had a chance while you were out there sneaking around with him. I was upset. I needed something different. You left first." Scrappy shot back. "I left you looking like a complete idiot." Bambi took a moment before responding, her voice softer. "I didn't want to hurt you, Scrap." "Congratulations," Scrappy said flatly. "You did it anyway." Silence. Then Bambi said something that made Scrappy's blood freeze. "I know how you get, and I don't need you out here starting problems." Scrappy narrowed his eyes. "He ain't backing down, Scrap. He's not scared of you. And if you keep pushing this, it's gonna turn into something bigger than just words." "You really think so?" Scrappy said, his grip tightening on the wheel. As if to confirm that Bambi was correct, Scrappy's phone suddenly lit up with a new message. "Unknown number. Yo, Scrap, we gotta talk. I got some info you need to know about Bambi's new man. Call me." Scrappy frowned, staring at the message. He didn't recognize the number, but something about it made his stomach tighten. "I'm scared of that man," Bambi said carefully. "I think I know both of you." Scrappy leaned his head back against the seat, staring at the roof of his car, which was already messy. Before Bambi could object, he stared at his phone for a few seconds before finally dialing the number. The call connected immediately, and Scrappy sat up. "Scrap, who is this?" he asked. "You don't know me like that, but I know what's going on," the voice said. "And if you think that man is just some regular dude, you're dead wrong." It felt serious. "What's wrong?" Bambi asked, but Scrappy didn't answer. He simply reread the message. "You're talking about the man's side. Let's just say you're not the only person he's been playing games with. I got receipts, screenshots, voice memos, videos, stuff that'll make Bambi wonder who she's really been dealing with. But Scrap, it's not just about her. This man is dangerous." Scrappy's stomach tightened. Dangerous? Some people don't take that lightly. The voice on the other end gave him an address, only a few blocks away. "Be there in an hour. And Scrap, watch your back." The call ended. Scrappy hesitated, every instinct telling him to be careful. But he couldn't let this go. If there was something else going on, if this man wasn't just a player but something more, he had to find out. Scrappy sat in his car outside the meeting location, his leg bouncing nervously. It was an old warehouse on the outskirts of town, the type of place where shady deals took place in the dark. His instincts screamed danger, but curiosity and rage kept him parked there. His phone vibrated again. Unknown number. A few seconds later, a shadowy figure appeared from the alley next to the warehouse. Scrappy tensed, gripping the handle of his car door. He wasn't about to walk into a setup. The man approached, staying partially hidden, but Scrappy could see the urgency in his movements. "You Scrap? Who's asking?" The man exhaled sharply. "I'm not your enemy," he said. "Name's Rico." Scrappy folded his arms. "Man, I just thought you should know who you're really dealing with," Rico said, pulling out his phone. "This dude Bambi's messing with. He ain't clean. He's got dirt on a lot of people, and he doesn't just break hearts. He destroys lives." Scrappy narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" Rico turned the screen toward him, showing a string of text messages from Bambi's new man. "She don't even realize I had her snaked. This is all part of the plan, baby. She thinks she's winning, but she's gonna take the fall. Scrappy ain't even my real problem." Scrappy clenched his fists. "What the hell is this?" Rico shook his head. "He's using Bambi. She's just another pawn. He does this with women, once with money, status, connections. Once he gets what he needs, he moves on and leaves them to deal with the fallout." Scrappy took a deep breath, trying to process it all. He had been mad at Bambi for moving on so quickly, but now it wasn't even about him. "Why are you telling me this?" he finally asked. Rico gave him a knowing look. "Because I know how this plays out. If nobody steps in, it's gonna get real bad for her." Scrappy ran a hand over his face. He had two options: walk away and let Bambi learn the hard way, or do something about it. "Send her something solid," Scrappy said, "something she can't ignore." Rico smirked. "Already ahead of you." He tapped his phone and played a voice recording. "Yeah, she thinks we are solid. She doesn't know I already got my next move lined up. Once I get that bag, I'm gone." Scrappy gritted his teeth. That was all he needed. The next night, Bambi sat at an upscale lounge across from her new man. She was grinning, completely oblivious to what was about to happen. Scrappy approached, a storm brewing behind his eyes. "Bambi." She looked up in surprise and annoyance. "Scrap, what are you doing here?" Bambi's new man smirked, leaning back. "Man, you really pressed, huh?" Scrappy didn't even acknowledge him. Instead, he took out his phone, tapped the screen, and let the recording play. The moment Bambi heard those words, "Once I get that bag, I'm gone," her smile disappeared. Her body stiffened. "You played me," she whispered. She turned to the man next to her, who shifted uncomfortably. "Come on, baby," he started, but Bambi put her phone down on the table, recording him in real time. That was all the confirmation she needed. Her voice was full of betrayal. Scrappy watched as the realization hit her like a ton of bricks. The new man stood up, glaring at Scrappy. "You real bold for this. You think this is over?" Scrappy smirked. "No, I think it's just getting started." The tension in the room was thick. Bambi's hands were shaking as she stared at the man she had trusted. "Before I do something I regret," she muttered. The man hesitated but then backed off, realizing he had already lost. As he stormed out of the lounge, Scrappy turned to leave too. But before he could, Bambi called out, her voice softer this time. He paused for a moment. Neither of them said anything. Then Bambi swallowed hard. "Thank you." Scrappy gave her one last look before walking away. What a crazy turn of events. Just when Bambi thought she had moved on, the truth came crashing down. And Scrappy wasn't going to let anyone play her like that. The biggest question now is, will Bambi recover from this betrayal? Will Scrappy and Bambi find common ground? Or is this just the start of another messy chapter? Most importantly, who is this mystery man and what else is he hiding? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Scrappy did the right thing, or should he have stayed out of it? And if you love the drama, hit that like button and subscribe, because trust me, there's way more to come. Stay tuned for the next twist.